It's odd that the finance chairman is running the meeting tonight. Our chairman have a family function that required his presence, and Tom Kitson is on vacation up in Alaska. So it came down to the finance committee. Of course, as Mr. Bivens knows, the finance committee always comes through, right? Anyway, thank you everybody for being here tonight. Please stand and we'll do the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please stand, and Pastor Calabaugh from Refuge Church down in Mendota Hills is going to lead us in prayer.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for all that you do for our communities. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, tonight we thank you for this day and for this place and for all of these servants to our community that are here tonight. We ask for your wisdom tonight, oh God, as discussion takes place and as decisions are made. May they be for the benefit and the betterment of our communities tonight. And Lord, may all that we do honor you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Nancy, would you do the roll?
Akery,
Here.
Bivens,
Here.
Book,
Here.
Dallas, Friel,
Here.
Gascoigne,
Here.
Hudson,
Present.
Huss,
Here.
Kitson, Copine,
Here.
Larum,
Here.
Naylor,
Present.
Pearson,
Present.
Sheline.
Here.
Shippert, Scrogstead,
Here.
White. Here. Wilson,
Here.
Zeman,
Here.
Olson.
All right. Thank you for that. And just as a reminder, please everyone mute your cell phones so we don't have any interruptions through the meeting. Thank you. Sheriff Whalen, I think you have a presentation this evening.
I do, sir. Hold on. Good evening, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Clay Whalen. I'm your Lee County Sheriff. I'd like to take the opportunity tonight to honor Deputy Sam Ramirez for his 25 years of service. Come on up, Sam. I'm sorry. I'd like to take the opportunity to honor Deputy Sam Ramirez for his 25 years of service to the citizens of Lee County. Sam started his part-time employment with Lee County Sheriff's Office on August 5th, 1999, under then Sheriff Tim Bivens. Sam worked full-time with the Illinois Department of Corrections and felt the need to do something further for our community. Over the years, Sam has been a consummate professional in guiding and directing visitors at the Lee County Courthouse where they needed to be. All the while, he was that protective layer of security for our community. Sam, thank you for your years of service. We have a plaque for you. It says, in grateful appreciation for your dedicated service to our community. Thank you from everyone here at the Lee County Sheriff's Office, and your anniversary date, August 5th, 2020.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Then we also have a gift card for you.
It's always wonderful to see those kind of presentations, isn't it, Clay?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, and thank you for your service, Mr. Ramirez. Also, we'd like to thank all the 4-H planners and volunteers in the 4-H board. We had my understanding, I wasn't able to attend, but the 4-H fair at the end of July was well attended and was a wonderful event for our community and showcasing our young people. And we want to thank all the volunteers and people that were involved in that. So really appreciate that. All right, approval of the board minutes from July meeting. If there are no changes or corrections to the minutes from July 18th, they will stand as presented. Any changes or additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, they will stand presented. There are no Joseph E. Meyer resolutions this month. So we'll move on down to zoning and planning. Monthly report is in your packet for zoning and planning with an overview of their office activities and petitions. There is one petition going to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that's petition number 24-P-1630 by Alicia Hall, Brandon Miller, Rhiann Miller, Heather Settles, William Shaneberg as owners of certain real property known as PIN number 07-02-33-252-011, commonly known as 1127 East River Road, Dixon, Illinois, located along the East River Road, approximately 925 feet northeast of Stony Point Road and 667 feet southwest of Shop Road in Dixon Township, Lee County. Filed a petition for special use with the Lee County Zoning Office for the purpose of a private campground. Parcel is currently zoned to Ag 1, Rural Agricultural District, and is approximately 1.75 acres in size. Is there a motion to move the petition to the Zoning Board of Appeals? Moved by Naylor, seconded by Wilson. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. There are no petitions going to the Planning Commission. There is one petition coming from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Petition number 24-P-1629 by Richard A. Humphrey Jr. and Brenda D. Humphrey regarding part of PIN number 18-08-13-100-1 located in South Dixon Township. Parcel is currently zoned Ag 1, Rural Agricultural District. Petitioner is requesting special use permit for the purpose of inventory of material storage outdoors for the purpose of storing an inventory of materials in relations to the operation of a skilled trade special use permit for Midwest Disposal. Is there a motion to approve the resolution of 24-P-1629? Moved by Mimini, seconded by Pearson. Jeepers, or not Pearson, Gascoigne. You know, I know who you are. I will get it right sooner or later. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the petition signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Hearing none, motion carried. And there are no motion or petitions coming from the Planning Commission. Down to Administrator monthly update. Jeremy informed me that he doesn't have anything to share with us this evening. Any board members have anything that they'd like to talk about tonight? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. Anything on the agenda, visitors are allowed 10 minutes. If you not have anything, if it's something off the agenda, you're limited to 5. Anybody have anything to discuss tonight? All right, hearing none, we'll move on. We have 3 presentations tonight. Carrie Falcon. Carrie Falcon is with BEST. She's the executive director, and she's giving us our yearly presentation. Carrie.
Thank you. Like you said, my name is Carrie Falcon. I'm the executive director from BEST. I've been employed by BEST since 1993, but just as the executive director since 2021. So I first want to start out by saying thank you for allowing me to come. Annually, I come around between August and October to all of our 8 counties. It's National Workforce Development Month in September. So we come around and share a little successes that we have for each county, and then also just bring awareness to workforce development. We are 100% federally funded. We receive our grant funds from the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. We do have, like I said, we're 8 counties large. Each county of our counties has a representative on our corporate board. Keene sits on our board, and here's probably a lot of these success stories. So I'm just going to dive right into it and kind of tell you about a couple successes that we've had this past year with some Lee County residents. Kayla initially reached out to BEST in 2018 for an LPN program, but she had some personal roadblocks come up and decided that she needed to focus on her family. So she reached out again in 2021. She was thinking about finishing her RN. She had 2 daughters and she was a single mother. She researched different schools and programs. She was accepted into to several programs at different schools, but Kayla's first choice was Kishwaukee College, where she was accepted. However, due to COVID and the mandatory vaccination, Kayla chose not to attend that school, and she was then accepted by Eastern Iowa Community College, where they worked with her on her clinical location, so she didn't have to, so there wasn't a COVID restriction. She completed her program successfully in June and made the Dean's Honor List. She passed her NCLEX in July and is currently working as a nurse. Best assisted Kayla with her tuition assistance, transportation, and childcare. Our funding streams are 3 different funding streams. We have an adult program, a dislocated worker program, and a youth program. And the next story I'm going to read to you is about our youth program. Our youth are ages 16 to 24, so sometimes they overlap with our adult program, which starts at 18. Dalton heard about our program, about the BEST program, through his sister who participated in when she was in high school. He had applied for a job, but he was told he needed a high school diploma to be employed. He was disappointed that he wasn't hired, but realized that he needed to earn his diploma. His goal has always been to work in law enforcement. Daniel reached out to BEST and enthusiastically said, "I want to start working today." Well, we got him enrolled in the education outreach program, which on one of your sheets that you received from us, it had a list of numbers of businesses that we served this past year, also individuals that a number of individuals we served. And then there was a program on there, a contracted program with the Regional Office of Education. And they are the ones that we funded this program called Educational Outreach Program. So he was in there. However, he had a significant learning disability and initially tested at a 3rd grade reading and math level. With one-on-one tutoring that he was provided, he was started to prepare for his GED tests. BEST helped him to attain a job as a security guard while he worked on his studies. He came to class as often as he could, and he worked on his math problems at home. Eventually, Daniel earned his diploma. The diploma opened to other job opportunities. He was thrilled, and he started a job in law enforcement where he was making $32 an hour as soon as he hit his 6-month anniversary. Each opportunity is as unique as the people that we serve. We are not a cookie cutter place. You have a list of services also in your packet of services that we do offer in all of our offices. We do cover 8 counties, so there is contact information in your packet for all of the offices that we have. We also are very known for going to the individual instead of making them come to us. So if there is an individual that can't make it to an office or a location, we would go to and meet them in any public place that best fits their needs. So if you look at that list and you think of somebody that may need services like ours, please reach out to one of us and we'd be happy to help out in any way that we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And we appreciate what BEST does for the county and always.
Thank you.
You bet. Any questions for Carrie? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to Natalie Andrews, Partnership for a Healthy Lee County. And this is a presentation on the opioid funding request. So, good evening.
Thanks. This is my first time. All right. So there's slide program. I am a member of the Partnership for a Healthy Lee County, and the facilitator of the full partnership is the Lee County Health Department. I'm hoping you're all aware of that. Next slide. The organizations there are over 25 organizations from Lee County that are involved in the partnership, and they meet monthly. Those that have an orange check by them are also members of the work group that I'm here to talk about, which is substance use disorder, mental health, behavioral health type issues. For me, I came from, they call it impacted family of substance use. And so I not only have a personal background with that, but also went to school to become a licensed clinical social worker. And I came to Illinois in 1983 because I got a job at Sinisippi Centers. Stayed there 35 years. Last 5-6 years, been doing community advocacy, education, some consulting, some grant writing, those kinds of things. But I didn't join this group until about 1.5 years ago. And so the needs assessment had been done already. Next slide. So I was learning also the mission is unifying Lee County to strengthen supports and resources for a healthier Lee County. And what the health departments in the state of Illinois do every 5 years is they do an I-plan, and Lee County Health Service needs a survey. And they compile that in 2022 is when they did that survey. They had almost 400 residents of Lee County who gave input to what are the top priorities, health priorities in Lee County. Next slide. Oh, of which then we split into 2 work groups, and I'm focusing on this piece. So the data that we're showing is the 49% drug misuse and the 36% alcohol misuse. There were others that show problems, but the top 2 that we're going to focus on are the substance use disorders. Next slide. Data from Lee County from 2016 to 2020 shows that the deaths due to alcohol and drug overdose average 10 per year. And what happens with data is it's always from the past versus current. So that's how we get our data back from the state or in the feds. The highest rate is in the 45 to 64. And the 22 opioid overdoses average 4.5 a year. You can look at the chart and see that. But the data I really want to show you is the next one. Because when you can get local data and you can partner and see that data on a month-to-month basis, it really helps. Data is time sensitive. Typically, the data is 2 years old or 3 years old. And having timely data allows us to intervene earlier and know that it's going on right now. As most of you know from Lee County, in 2015, we had more deaths, 4 deaths from the overdose. And this is in the midst of the opioid crisis, which started probably 4 years prior to that on the East Coast. So Chief Howell has given me monthly data in regards to how do we look at this. The piece I'd want to point out is the top one is the number of overdoses and the bottom one is the fatalities. So we're trending very low. This year we have not had an overdose. This is the city of Dixon only. County data is different than the city. So this is not the whole county. The piece that I would point out is in 2023, there's that high spike. And that high spike is where 17, the highest we've ever had of people surviving an overdose. But the other piece is the great work that organizations and first responders and hospitals are doing and family members to giving Narcan. We believe, we can't for sure say that, but when I track, I also get who gets Narcan and who doesn't get Narcan and who survives. So that's really a good piece and it's good local data. Next, please. So I have time to research things. I knew that the opioid allocation agreement was signed in 2021. That there were going to be abatement programs and there were going to be 25% to local counties that apply for that, and our state's attorney did do that. And so the list of opioid remediation uses, there's a pile of paper that goes through 3 sections. You can apply for part 1, which is treatment, A through F, part 2, which is prevention. I can't see that, through H. And then part 3, which is other statistic pieces of leadership and data and those kinds of things. So next slide. We were looking at part 2, prevention, prevent misuse of opioids. We knew LSSI is on our committee. We knew that they did an alcohol prevention in the schools, and they did a couple other programs within the schools. And we were looking at, okay, I gave them that packet of the abatement strategies, and I said, take it home, go through, think about the data we looked at, and then think about what you know from your hospital, Sinisippi, where you are. What are the priorities in Lee County that you're familiar with? And then let's look at them. So this is how we got to media campaign, public education, and then funding local community anti-drug partnerships. Next slide. So our proposal that we've asked the county, I think we put it in November of 2023 to the county board. The first funding came in 22 and 23 for the counties. And we came up with an anti-stigma initiative that would include a countywide survey followed by training. The survey, we teamed up with Addiction Policy Forum out of Delaware. They were doing a pilot research study across the nation and asked for communities to participate. And we sent that in. We were accepted with that. And we surveyed back in the spring of 24, where we just got our data this past month on that. And so we knew we were on track of, okay, what do people know about alcohol and drugs? And do people know the stereotypes and stigma, the prejudice, the discrimination, and the intent sometimes that happens of not understanding someone who is going through this chronic disease. So that's that first portion, which we're requesting. The second portion has several items on it. Oh, let me see if I put this in. You can go to the next one. Okay, that's just an example. We did a training August 1st. Several of us, 3 people became instructors. We went through the training with the Addiction Forum people. We got certified. We're on their radar that Illinois is addressing stigma and looking at these issues. We really targeted people, not clinicians or treatment people. Your everyday family members and your employers or your folks, clergy is another good one. And we had law enforcement there, probably 7 peer recovery kinds of folks. We had 20 people, there could have been 25, but 5 had to cancel, that learned about what it is like to have a substance using disorder, how to handle that, and the treatment for it. Next slide. Goes into the public awareness and the media initiatives that were in the abatement strategies. And this is about getting the message out, getting it out in a variety of ways. We're talking about health. We're talking about lifestyles and quality of life. And it just doesn't happen. It's something that a person goes through kind of a contemplation, pre-contemplation before they ever take action. It's kind of like wanting to stop smoking or wanting to lose weight. You just don't do it. So you need repetitive messages, multi-prong approach in the community, and then hopefully you get that behavioral change and lifestyle change. Next slide. So I guess I should say that the one way to do that is by billboards, evidence-based best practice, billboards, putting messages on the lots of vans, getting that message out in a variety of ways. The Recovery in Art exhibition was something that nationally folks are doing and some in bigger cities. And when I was talking with people, art therapy was being used a lot in treatment for addictions and to get their story out, to talk about that. So what better way than to have something that's open to the public, people to people, showing their art and talking about their journey. And that's another way to normalize that piece of that. And the last piece on there is a one box. I hope most of us are familiar with AED. And this is what has come out as should go right next to your AED. And that is a Narcan one box, which gives you instructions on it. You'd put it in high risk areas. And schools now have Narcan. So they just passed their resolution in February of this year about having Narcan available. So it's a life-saving piece for people. So what's the impact? Let's go to the next. I think you skipped one. There you go. This is, I know, hard to see. However, up at the top, it talks about the quality of life. So what we're talking about is, why should we care about this? Why are these issues important? Isn't that person's issue and that's their problem and their family's problem? We want community members to reach their full life, and we want them to be able to be safe and healthy and reach their potential. Poor health behaviors impact our community, and it is an upstream approach trying to get at younger people and look at how they can promote protective factors to stay healthy. The other piece that's in that chart that really intertwines with all of this, because nothing's in isolation, is the social and emotional factors. So all of those pieces play a part in that. It's not easy to do, but this helps future generations. Next slide. The economic impact is that there's 77 some thousand dollars currently. And what I was wondering is, multi-county estimates for our area are in the millions, but it's way over time also. It's over 18 years that you get little. And we had a big boost initially because they combined 2 years really. So there are definitely future considerations and things to think about of how can we work better with other counties, maybe to look at a larger scale issue of what's needed in our area. And you probably can skip the next one. I just had its future funding things that you can consider as a county board. And I think my time is probably up. So are there any questions or comments?
Any questions for Natalie? So our process is that, so you have this presentation. I counted up about, your request here is about $20,500 roughly. And so that'll be taken up with the finance committee and we'll take it from there.
I appreciate it. Thanks
right.
for all your work.
You bet. Thanks, Natalie. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Natalie. And just real quick, Jim, you know, there is an opioid focus group that internally meets and has been meeting for the better part of close to 2 years. And Natalie has worked with that group over the past year and a half as Sinisippi and other folks. So that, again, we're just bringing them to come to the board as we're looking to utilize the funds that have come in. So appreciate your time, Natalie. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is Christy Campbell, RLS and Associates, and you brought Greg Gates with you. I wonder why.
Nancy Davis.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Christy Campbell. I am a public transit planning consultant with RLS and Associates. We are based in Dayton, Ohio. I'm here with my colleague Zach Kincaid. But we do public transit planning studies all over the country, but particularly in the Midwest and especially with rural communities. And here to tell you about the Dixon Fixed Route Feasibility Study. Next slide. Okay, so RMTD commissioned our study. They put out a competitive procurement for consulting services using funding with a grant that they received from IDOT. And our task was to examine the feasibility of having some type of fixed route city bus type service in Dixon. Now we know that Dixon is a small community. And so, you know, the question was, is it feasible to have that type of service to begin with? And then if so, you know, what type of service plan would be necessary to carry that out? And so, you know, one of the reasons why we want to look at fixed route bus service in a city like Dixon is that it is served by RMTD currently. They provide their on-demand service, which is, as you know, reservation based. So it does a wonderful job. However, you know, the question is, would city residents benefit from something, you know, more consistent and regularly available to get them to shopping, to work, to medical appointments, to recovery services, mental health care, and so forth. We had an advisory committee that reviewed our work on a periodic basis. We met approximately monthly, mostly virtually, but sometimes in person. And we did a variety of activities to collect data and analyze demand for regularly scheduled public transit. We did a survey. We did a couple rounds of community input meetings and focus groups. We pulled a lot of census data to look at, you know, the basic demographic data about Dixon, just to examine the potential for the feasibility of fixed route bus service. Next slide. And basically, we did find that we believe that Dixon would benefit from having a very kind of a small fixed route bus network. The city has strong population density in many places. You have linear housing and commercial development patterns. You have residents that have unmet transportation needs. And, you know, we determined that it would be feasible to operate some type of service like that. So what we've planned is a 2-route network. You have a map of it in front of you on your desks. And these are routes that would operate on a 1-hour frequency. So the bus would come by every hour. And it really wasn't feasible to serve the community with 1 route. So we have 2 routes that meet in a central location, kind of in the downtown area. Next slide. Just to show you a little bit about the planning efforts. So this is a map of population density by census block in Dixon. So where you see those red blocks are places where we have some pretty strong population density. And this is not on the map, but we also looked at areas of, you know, where do we have more people living under the poverty level, or where do we have 0-car households? That's something that the census tells us. Next slide. We also took a look at, you know, where are what we call trip generators around Dixon. So where are the major shopping areas, the high density housing like apartments and mobile home communities? Where are the major employers? Where are the healthcare providers? And using that data to inform our route planning. Next slide. So our proposed route network, we'll talk a little bit about it. There's a blue route you kind of see going north-south down Galena, and then kind of going over like along 4th Avenue, and also making that sort of detour into Dementtown. Also goes all the way down to your industrial park, where you have some employers, and they even participated in our focus group and talked about the transportation needs of their employees and the people that they're trying to recruit for jobs. That's also where the Lots facility is. And then we have that red route, which would go up towards like the housing authority, the park district. It would come down through town and provide access to KSB Hospital, and also go out towards Anchor Road, where there's a large mobile home community, also some senior apartments. So We also, of course, serve like Walmart and Aldi. So really would work well to provide people with a lot of transportation access to many destinations. Next slide. So another task that was a part of our study, of course, was determining the costs. And the costs of running a public transit system are pretty highly dependent on the hours and days of service that you run it. So, we're going to continue working with RMTD to like talk with IDOT about potential funding opportunities to figure out what type of funding support is available out there for what type of days and hours and service that we could have. But essentially the scenario one is to operate Monday through Friday, 7A to 6P. And of course, with larger amounts of revenue, we're able to provide more hours. So we've been working on budgeting projections with RMTD. Next slide. Not only does operating fixed route, of course, have an annual operating cost, but we're helping to estimate capital costs. So we're recommending certain type of small transit vehicle that RMTD would acquire to operate this type of service, as well as some technology. And then something new in the community, should they pursue this service, would be having bus stops. And so, there would be bus stops with signs, and maybe down the road, eventually, once the service, is well established, looking at adding things like benches and bus shelters at some of the most commonly used stops. Next slide. If you're curious about the projected ridership, if we run that service Monday through Friday, 7A to 6P, it takes about 3 years for a new bus service to achieve its potential ridership. But over time, you would see up to 50,000 one-way passenger trips per year. So a passenger trip is every time somebody steps on a bus. So, we think that it would be a well-used service, and it would be efficient. Next slide. Okay, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them for you. Like I said, we're going to continue working with RMTD and as well as helping them in their discussions with IDOT to look into options for making this plan happen.
Any questions for Christy?
All right.
No?
Thank you very much.
Christy. Appreciate you coming. All right. We're down to the reports of standing committees, and we'll start off with Mr. Scrogstead, County Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, today or
No, just today.
just today? Okay, all right, sorry. Well, thank you. We, County Services met August 13th at 9 a.m. And we had some discussions. I mean, everything is in your packet when it, the meeting minutes and whatnot. But I'm just going to go over some highlighted stuff. We did talk about with the IT, some of the computer glitch that happened there in July, and kind of like what happened, what was having an IT person on staff or here being able to do it versus some of these other communities that had IT that they hire that are not around. So it was very nice to have IT personnel on site that could help get us back up and running versus some of these other communities that hire out. So I want to applaud the IT department and getting us up and running during that outage. We also then talked about the advantage of having the ordinance that we're going to be talking about tonight, the Highway Department using an Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network. That we're going to be holding over or voting tonight to hold over. So I think that was important. So we kind of discussed that, a little bit of that on the importance of having that in writing. Also, the election department, everyone has received who are registered voters a card in the mail that for those that want to receive a mail-in ballot. They're going to be sending that out to you every year at the cost of the tax dollars in the election department. So if you do not want to receive this card and whatnot as to get a mail-in ballot, please check that box down at the bottom. It says, I do not want to receive this anymore, and then send it back to them, and you won't get any more. It'll save us postage and whatnot, but if you constantly want to get this every year, or if you want a mail-in ballot, please fill it out and send it in to get your mail-in ballot. Also, we're still needing more election judges. I'm assuming we still would like to have some. So anyone out there listening, county board members, if you know somebody that's willing, and I believe county board members are able to be election judges, correct? So if you're not doing anything on election day, please see Nancy to sign up and become an election judge and help your community out in that regards. Let's see here. Oh, and tonight we're going to be going over a zoning hearing officer tonight. So that's pretty much what we talked about in our meeting. So any questions?
Any questions for Jack? Thank you, Jack. Public safety, Mr. Copine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public safety met on the 13th also. Short meeting. The respective reports from the department heads are available in the information packet. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer them.
Any questions for Mike? All right. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Facilities and maintenance, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Sheeline. We met last week, went over some of the highlights, and everything's in the packet. Some of the highlights for the meeting, our project across the street for the air conditioning system was slated to be done by the end of June. We were pretty close to that time frame. We did add a courtroom onto the job, and that courtroom is, I would say, at a 75% completion right now. And I believe we're shooting for the end of September to have the courtroom ready to go and the contract with Allied should be completed. And we'll be working through the paperwork with them to get the job completed. Other thing that I wanted to bring up to everyone is the new hire for our facilities maintenance person. Eric England has been working out really well. He's been doing a really good job. We've got a couple new hires coming in right now, but he's really doing a really good job organizing things throughout the county for us, and getting bullet points and helping people understand what needs to be done. And we're trying to get the personnel in line with him to help him get the job done better. But he's doing a great job. But other than that, that's my report.
Very good. Any questions for Tom? Hearing none. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Claims Committee, Mr. Zeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met July 17th. We went over 34 claims. We passed all 34 onto the county board for ratification. Another meeting, we met on August 7th. 75 claims that day. All 75 were forwarded to the county for ratification. And that's it.
All right. Any questions for Mike? Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Finance Committee. Finance Committee met last Thursday. We pretty light agenda meeting last Thursday, basically because we're in the midst of budget cycle. Finances, as far as for the monthly goes, are in your packet. Nothing out of the ordinary. No items were pointed out of any concern by either our treasurer or the finance director. So in regards to budget, so we've finished our day 3 of our budget hearings. So we have worked our way through all of the department heads. So we've worked through all of the presentations from the department heads. We have a gap that we are working through from the budget from the requests that came from the department heads to our projected revenues. We're roughly about $1.4, $1.5 million in deficit. We are working we're going to be meeting. We were going to have a meeting next Tuesday, but I think that's going to get pushed back We have some things that need to get rearranged in the schedule, and so we won't have that meeting next week. We'll reschedule that with the committee later on. But we're working our way through the deficit, and we hope that by at least the second week in September that we'll have a projection that we'll be able to present to the Finance Committee. So that's all I've got for finance. Is there any questions for me? Okay. Hearing none, we'll keep moving on. Executive Committee minutes are in your agenda packet. Is there any questions for executive? Okay, hearing none. We have Board of Health. Katie, would you like to give us your report?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Sheeline. So we didn't have a meeting this month, so I just want to provide a quick couple updates. We're very busy with back to school immunizations, which is good. As I mentioned last month too, we're still collecting, we're doing a hygiene drive. So through the end of the month, we're collecting supplies for the local schools. The First Presbyterian Church of Dixon's Mission Committee donated $300 worth of feminine hygiene products, which is the mostly requested product that we've received, that people are asking for, excuse me. Our CDC Public Health Associate, Sapna, has completed her almost 2-year placement and is headed off to grad school. So she's been working on some really great things for us. She's been a great member of the team. So we're divvying up tasks to have her to continue to work on them. Our next meeting will be September 10th at 6:30 at the Lee County Health Department. Any questions?
Any questions for Katie? Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
All right. Keen, 911.
Thank you, Mr. Sheeline. There is no report in addition to the reports in the packet that's already been submitted by Deputy Dallas.
Very good. Any questions for Keen? All right, move on. Tri-County Opportunities Council, Mr. Akery. Reed, go ahead.
Tri-County Opportunities Council met July 23rd. Minutes are in the packet. Pretty straightforward meeting. They did pass out some scholarships that night, so it was good to see. So, but yeah, if you have any questions, let me know.
Any questions for Reed? Thank you, Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Block Hills RC&D, that's Ms. Shippert. Anybody have anything from Angie? Okay. Pass on that. LCIDA, back to you, Reed.
We met August 7th and kind of got updates on the new buildings going in. Fairfield Inn, Mercy Health has purchased a Badass Pizza facility to put in a occupational health type place there. So that's good. Sound like a restaurant backed out, but things are moving along real well. There's definitely some interest up around the mega site there in northeast Lee County there by Rochelle. There's an automotive manufacturer going in there or looking real hard at going in there. They would take autos that are built somewhere else and then bring them into there and then customize them at that location to specific needs or orders. And then another one that was looking at that area very hard is a sustainable aviation fuel plant. So things are going on well there. Biggest thing of the meeting though, towards the end was working out a partnership with the city of Rochelle. Jason Anderson is retiring from Gregco and city of Rochelle. So city of Rochelle came to Tom and asked him if he'd be interested in working with them as well. So LCIDA and city of Rochelle are partnering up and both of us will be using the services of Tom Demmer. So I think that's a good opportunity for both. It kind of allows us to work well together with the city of Rochelle. So that'll be, I think, a good thing. So. other
Love
than
it
that,
when a plan comes together.
Yeah, really. So I don't have any other comments, but if you have any questions, please reach out.
Any questions for Reed? Thanks, Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mike, counties, Surma.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I attended a quarterly meeting of CIRMA down in Bloomington, July, I don't know, something 20th. Went over financials. CIRMA is a very good financial shape. CIRMA started about 22 years ago, I believe, with 4 members of Lee County was one of them, charter members. Now we're up to like 22, 23, which is good. We just added DeKalb County to our consortium. And that was nice to have them. They know that we are doing, that CIRMA's doing, I shouldn't say we, CIRMA's doing a good job with risk management and everything that entails. That's my report.
Any questions for Mike? All right, thank you, Mike. I'll cover Tom for UCCI. At your desk is the new practical guide. Learn it, love it, live it. So it's what this is. This is actually, I've used this thing a number of times, you know, the questions that you have in regards to how things should be structured and how it, so it's a good book to refer to and have in your office at ready. So we want to thank UCCI for providing those, and we get those annually. So, okay. Mr. Copine, Illinois Association County Board members.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. There's nothing new as far as any of the new bills. There are a number of bills that are still waiting for signature. And I think everybody's patiently awaiting the veto session in November. Other than that, that's all I have.
All right. Any questions for Mike? Thank you, Mike. Unfinished business. We do have an ordinance that was held over. Ordinance amending Lee County Liquor Ordinance Title 3, Chapter 3. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance amending the Lee County Liquor Ordinance? Moved by Wilson, seconded by Copine. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to new business. We have Amoresco Lee County RNG LLC pipeline project, the Lee County road use improvement. Is there a motion to approve the Lee County road use agreement? Moved by Naylor, seconded by Gascoigne. Discussion. Mr. Anderson, you want any comment on in this regard? I think it's pretty perfunctory, but.
Yeah, it is. I'll keep it pretty simple by saying most of you have seen probably several road use agreements for wind farms. You can just think of this as a road use agreement light in those terms. There just isn't near the potential for the damage on this kind of a project as there is on a wind farm. So it's just kind of a light version of that. We still make them come up with a traffic plan so that they confine their traffic to only to certain roads and that sort of thing. So it doesn't tend to sprawl out. And then most of the basic do's and don'ts are covered. So.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Those are, you were anticipating. Guys, I'm getting ahead of me. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. All right, moving on to B. Now this will be a motion to hold over, authorize an execution of the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network Agreement. Is there a motion to hold over the ordinance authorizing execution of the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network Agreement until the September County Board meeting? Moved by Scrogstead, seconded by Alley. Why can I say your last name? Cheapers, criminy. Huss. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. All right. We have 5 appointment resolutions this evening, 1 to the Board of Health, 3 to the Planning Commission, and 1 to the Reagan Mass Transit District. If there's no objections, I'd entertain a motion to approve voting on all 5 resolutions at the same time, moved by Divins, seconded by Copine. Any discussion on the appointments? Hearing none. All those in favor of these appointments signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Motion to approve the appointment of Dr. Christine Doyle to, okay, wait a minute. I don't need to do that because we just did those.
We
Okay,
just approved that we would do them all at the same time.
that's right. So now we actually have to do so this is the appointment of, thank you,
All of
Mr.
them, all of
Schrogstead.
You're welcome.
Dr. Christine Doyle to Lee County Board of Health, the appointment Chris Jones, Charles Beckman, and Ben Forster to the Lee County Planning Commission, and the appointment of Jeremy England to the Reagan Mass Transit District Board of Trustees. I'll entertain that motion. Moved by White, seconded by Pearson. Although, any discussion on those appointments now? Now we're doing the actual appointments. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Is there any need for an executive session this evening? I have nothing. Hearing none. Okay, we have the approval of the county officers' reports. Is there a motion to approve the county officers' reports? Moved by Wilson, seconded by Pearson. Any discussion? Is that a roll call? Is that the roll call one? No, the roll call one's later.
Right.
Right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And we have the approval of the monthly revenue report, claims paid in vacation, and payroll. Is there a motion to approve the monthlies? Moved by Naylor, seconded by Wilson. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Oh, that is roll call. Nancy, would you do the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Start with Naylor.
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Sheline,
Yes.
Scrogstad,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Wilson, Seaman,
Yes.
Acree,
Yes.
Bivens,
Yes.
Book,
Yes.
Freel,
Yes.
Gascoigne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Huss,
Yes.
Copine,
Yes.
and Laram.
Yes.
All right. Assuming that motion passed. Approval of board member mileage and per diem. Moved by Wilson, seconded by Freel. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Wilson, seconded by Hudson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your participation.